Hello everyone, and welcome to the first lesson of the course. Today we'll be learning about the camera settings on your iPhone. You're probably already thinking that you already know all the settings on your camera, but you'd be surprised how much control you can gain when you finally understand each of the functions. Let's get right into it. So to find the iPhone camera settings, we'll start by opening the settings app on the home screen on your phone. From here, we'll scroll all the way down until you find camera. Select camera and that will open the camera settings. Here, the first option that I think is really important is the grid settings, and by default, the grid is turned off. But if you turn the grid on, the next time you launch the iPhone camera app, you'll see two horizontal and vertical lines on your screen. And these lines will come in really handy when composing your shots. We'll talk more about the grid lines in a future lesson, but for now, just keep them on. The next setting that I think is important is the formats option. So I'm going to tap on formats, and this brings up two options. I can choose between high efficiency and most compatible image file formats. So for those of you who are more technically minded, high efficiency corresponds to the HEIF file format, whereas most compatible corresponds to JPEG. HEIF, or high efficiency, is mostly used by Apple, whereas JPEG, or most compatible, is the most popular image file format in the world. The benefit of high efficiency is that your photos will take up less storage space, but most compatible has two very substantial benefits. Number one, these files are indeed more compatible, especially if you send them over to your friends who do not use Apple devices. But number two, which is even more important, is the fact that most compatible images will actually be of higher quality. And if you can compare high efficiency and most compatible photos side by side, you see that the most compatible images will actually have more detail, and thus their quality will be better. And because of that, I strongly recommend that you choose the most compatible option. So now that we've changed all of these settings, let's open our iPhone camera app and see what kind of options are available there. So now when you open the camera app, the first thing you're going to see are the grid lines. Now on the screen we have two horizontal and two vertical lines, and those are the grid lines, and they'll be really useful for composing your photos. Now besides the grid lines, there are a whole bunch of other buttons on the screen. So I'm going to walk through them one by one and quickly explain what each of these buttons mean. So we'll start where you have this icon showing these three overlapping circles right over here on the bottom right hand corner. And if you tap your finger there, the filter menu opens up on the right hand side. And here you can swipe through all sorts of different filters, such as vivid warm, vivid cool, and so on. And the way that you can tell that one of these filters has been turned on is the fact that the three overlapping circles is now in color. Now the next option you see on the screen is the self-timer, and you have the choice between the self-timer being off, or you can select 3 or 10-second self-timer. Now here we have the option which looks like several circles are now crossed out, which stands for live photos. And when this option is yellow, that's when you know that live photos are turned on. So the live photos functionality essentially records a short video just before and just after the photo that you take. The general guideline is to keep live photos on every time there's movement in the scene or whenever you're taking photos of people. And finally, you see the flash icon. With flash, my general recommendation is to keep it off, and you can see now the flash is crossed out. So the reason I don't recommend using this option too much is because the iPhone flash is relatively weak. It only works well when your subjects are really close to you, and even then you may end up with unnatural looking colors, and because of that it's better to leave it off unless you absolutely need it. But for most photography situations, even in low light, I recommend keeping the flash off. So now on the top right, you'll see the camera icon with 2 arrows in the middle, and if you tap on that icon, you'll switch to the front-facing camera. And this is me. The only thing that you should keep in mind is that the front-facing camera is substantially worse in terms of image quality than the back camera. So generally speaking, you should mainly use the back cameras because those are substantially better in terms of image quality. So yeah. And finally, on the right hand side of the screen, you'll have all the different shooting modes of the iPhone camera. So currently the photo mode has been selected, and you can tell that because the letters photo are yellow. But as you swipe your finger vertically up or down the screen, you can switch between all the different modes. So if we go down, you have the video mode, which is the mode you'll be using to take regular videos. And under that, there's the slow-mo mode for taking slow motion videos. And then there is the time-lapse videos, which are videos that move really fast. And then if we If we then go up above the regular photo mode, you'll see something called portrait mode. The portrait mode is not available on all iPhones, and we'll cover portrait mode extensively in a future lesson. But for now, just know that this is the option you'll be using to create beautifully blurred backgrounds when taking portrait photos. So there you have it. We've just reviewed the most important iPhone camera settings and shooting modes. Now, as you can see from the techniques I just shared, the iPhone camera looks pretty simple on the surface, but when you start digging deeper, you realize it's not that simple. There are so many hidden camera features and settings that you probably didn't even know about before watching this video. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I encourage you to get outside to a garden or to a nearby park and apply what you've learned about camera settings to your photos today. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next lesson.